Yo, what's cooking good looking? And right now, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And it also happens to be my favorite time of the year. So no worries, I got you guys on some very awesome ideas to impress anybody at your next holiday dinner. So I'm gonna make this into a series, so I hope you guys are looking forward into my next video. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to start with the dessert. You know, everybody loves some dessert. So we're going to make a apple crisp. So what we're going to do is quarter the apples, cut the core out, and we're going to thinly slice them into about a half to or a quarter to a half inch. And then that's going to be our base for our apple crisp. As you can see here, the mandolin trick didn't really turn out as well as I thought it was going to. It was more dangerous than anything. You can go ahead and try it, but I highly suggest do not do it. Just go ahead and slice them with your knife. It's going to take a little bit longer, but it's a little bit more safer. Then we can go ahead and start the filling. Right here, we're going to take a cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of flour. We're going to take a little bit of that lemon zest and lemon juice and some of the orange zest, and we're going to go and mix that bad boy up. I also threw a little bit of cornstarch in there, about a teaspoon or so, just to make sure it gets nice and thick when you make it. And then we're going to give that a good mix up after we throw some of the ginger in there. Next, we're going to take a 9x9 pan or 9x13. It depends how many people you're trying to serve. We're going to grease that bad boy up real nice and greasy like. I just took some butter. If you have pan spray, that'll work. If you have Crisco, that'll work too. I just took some butter and rubbed it all around. Make sure I get all the corners in there. And when you go ahead and lay the filling in there, if you just want to throw everything in there, it's fine. But I have a little bit of OCD, so I went ahead and tried to do as nice as job as I could possibly to fit as much as possible in there. Once you get everything laid in there, we're gonna go ahead and make the crumble or crisp for the top. I'm gonna take some cold butter and shred it. You don't have to shred it, it just makes it a little bit easier. You can just dice this up into small cubes if you want, but you know, I found grating it is easier to cut, especially cold butter, and it makes it easier for the crisp part. So you're gonna do about 10 tablespoons for this recipe. If you're doing a smaller one, you wanna use about 5 to 6, or if you're doing a big one, you can go ahead and do a whole cup of butter, which is normally 2 sticks. Once you got it shredded up, go ahead and throw it into a bowl and go ahead and throw it in the fridge or freezer. I did mine in the freezer because it would have took a short amount of time. You want to get that butter nice and cold, so when you throw it into the flour mixture, you will get nice clumps with it. Here I took 2 cups of flour, a cup of sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a teaspoon of nutmeg, and threw it all into a bowl, mixed it up, and then I took and threw the butter in there, and then I went ahead and squeezed everything together to get nice little crust and crumble to it. Once you go ahead and mixed up all that butter and flour, you can go ahead and just pour it over the top of your apple filling. Don't try to pack it in there because you're not looking to make anything packed. Just kind of throw it in there and disperse the butter as evenly as you can as possible. Then we're gonna go ahead, after that, we're gonna go ahead and throw some almonds over them. I used about a half a cup of almonds and threw it over the top, just to add a little bit different texture. This is gonna go in a 375-degree oven, and it's gonna go in there for about 20 to 30 minutes until everything's warm throughout, the apples are cooked and soft, and the top starts to turn golden brown. That's what you want on this, kind of like a coffee cake. With this recipe, you can do it overnight and then heat it up the next day at a 415-degree oven and go ahead and cook that for about 15 minutes. Now we're gonna go ahead and start on a simple turkey brine. This is something you wanna do and let the turkey sit for about 8 to 16 hours. I did mine with 8 hours. So we'll go ahead and peel an orange. I did 2 orange here, did 1 peel and then 1 cut. For the limes, we're just gonna do 3. What we're gonna do is roll them out to get the juices nice and flowing, make it easier to juice. And then we're just gonna quarter these bad boys out. So nothing crazy, simple. And pretty much we're gonna do the same thing for the lemons. Here I did 3. And all I did was quarter them and roll them out too. It's gonna be something simple, nothing crazy. So for the brine here, I did 8 cups of warm water, 2 cups of salt, a cup of sugar, and here for this mixture, I did 2 tablespoons of thyme, rosemary, cardamom, tarragon, chili flakes, and 2 tablespoons of peppercorn. Now we're gonna go ahead and squeeze and put all of our citrus into there, and we're going to give that a good mix up once that happens. And then you're going to let it sit and cool down to room temperature, because you don't want the water to start cooking the actual turkey itself. So you're going to let this cool down, and afterwards you're going to go ahead and put your thick grill in there. Once that's cooled down, you're gonna go ahead and take this chunky grill. You know I love my women. I like them a little bit of thickness into them. So I went ahead, and this is a 16-pound turkey. So I went ahead and threw it into the water once it's cooled down, and let that sit between 6 to 18 hours. I did mine for 8. While the baby girl's taking her bath, we're gonna go ahead and make the homemade injection. So here I had 2 poblanos and I had 3 jalapeños. After I did that, I seeded them, and after I seeded them, I went ahead and threw them into a broiler for about 5 to 10 minutes until I get that nice black roasted look over the top. Also, I took about 5 cloves of garlic with that too. After that, this is what we're looking for in color wise. We're going to throw them into a food processor, and we're going to go ahead and give that a good mix up. And once you give that a good mix up, you're going to go and put about a half a cup at a time, or a quarter of a cup at a time, of chicken stock into the blender to get that consistency that you're looking for. I added a 2 to 3 tablespoons of this roasted garlic that I made. It gave a nice kick of garlic to it. Once I got the consistency that I wanted, I went ahead and threw that into a cup of butter, and I gave that a good mix up, and this is going to be the base of pretty much your injection. So once I get a good mix up, we're going to go ahead and move on to injecting your turkey before you cook it. Once she's done with her bath and gave her a good rinsing and let it sit for outside for about an hour, we're going to go ahead and inject her. I didn't use all of it because I wanted to keep some of it to put on the outside of the turkey, but you can use all of it if you want to. When you go ahead and inject this, you want to stick the needle as far as possible in and try to do it as many angles as possible. This is going to make sure that the injection is nice and in there. You want this girl looking like one of the Kardashians or Nicki Minaj. You want her nice and plump. So when you go ahead and cook it, all them juices are going to be inside. Once you got her looking thicker than a Snicker, we're gonna go ahead and start stuffing her here. Took some sage, some rosemary, some thyme, and I threw her inside first so it doesn't burn. I went ahead and cut up some apples, threw them in there, and I went and had some chicken sausage, and then I went ahead and threw some bacon in there. Get all that nice and juiciness inside, keep her nice and moist inside, because we know we all like it a little bit of moist. Once all that stuff was done, we can get her up with a little bit of bondage. Make sure you keep everything inside when you're cooking it so nothing falls out, and keep all the nice and juiciness inside. Once she was all tied up, I went ahead and threw 2 cups of chicken stock inside the bottom of the pan. This is gonna keep it nice and moist inside when you cook it. It's gonna steam up, and I went ahead and threw 2 onions, or actually 1 onion in there, just to add a little bit of flavor to it. After all that, I went ahead and took whatever's left over butter-wise and gave her a nice massage. The one that your girlfriend's always asking you for. This is the type of one you want to give to her. You already dressed her up real nice and you're ready to take her out to dinner. So go ahead and use as much butter as you have left on it, all over the sides, all over the back. Once I gave her a good rub down, I went ahead and seasoned her with a Voodoo Chef Magic. If you guys are interested in the seasoning, I'll go ahead and put the link down in the description, and so you guys can try it out. It made the turkey really delicious. Once you're ready to put her into the oven, you're going to go ahead and put this in at 375 for about an hour. And then once that happens, you're going to take the tin foil off and cook it for about 30 minutes to get that nice and crispy outside. Well, this pretty much wraps up part 1 of this series about yummy and awesome ideas for holiday dinners. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, go ahead and smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you guys don't miss out on any more awesome videos like this, especially for the holiday season. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and happy holidays to everybody. Peace.